Imagine you're sitting in a boardroom yawning. You were working late last night, and even though you're pretty whipped out, you're also sure that everything is going to go well with your presentation. Maybe you will even get the promotion you've been gunning for. When you get home, you'll take your partner out to dinner. Maybe that little pizza place with the good wine. What was it called again? Luigi's? Leonardo's? Giuseppe's? Anyway, you'll definitely order your favorite quattro forma. Forma? Formica? No, that's not it. The one that means cheesy. Anyway. But suddenly the boss shouts at you because you've been dozing off. You get up to make your presentation and suddenly remember that you forgot to upload the presentation to the cloud before you fell asleep. Now you're in big trouble. If only you could upload your mind to the cloud and save some of your memory. At least when you'll be able to remember the things you have to do. Or perhaps you could even just download the entire report and you graduated verbatim. Well, maybe not. Such a thing surely can't be possible. Can it? Uploading your consciousness to the cloud. How close are we anyway? You're about to find out. That's your cue to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, then ring the notification bell. Since the dawn of man, humanity has searched for something more, something beyond this crude matter that makes up our fragile, aging, limited human bodies. Whether interpreting star patterns and celestial signs, going to church in search of some spiritual meaning, or just in bed, dreaming, our consciousness yearns to be free of the bounds of the meat that binds us. But it isn't dogma or dharma that has come along to make this wish come potentially true, it is technology. As the technical abilities of the human race advance, the concept of our consciousness leaving our bodies behind and entering a digital wonderland seems ever more possible. It could even be the logical next step in human evolution. In recent video game Cyberpunk 2077, the concept of uploading your mind to the cloud is reality, with the game taking place in a harsh dystopian futuristic society of cybergenetic implants and other typical sci-fi tropes. So, could this ever become a reality in our world? The answer is more complex than you might think. So, what is the mind in the first place? What exactly would you be uploading? The mind is assumed to be the product of our consciousness and intelligence combined, allowing for imagination and invention. Uploading such a thing, then, would require the copying of an intangible, unreal world that isn't actually inside your head at all, but simultaneously is. The product would then be a simulation of your consciousness, in much the same way that a word processor is a simulation of a typewriter. There are three assumptions of what a mind upload could actually be. The first is physicalism, which relies on the idea that the mind is physically existent with your brain's biological makeup as electricity with the synapses. Second is scannability, which is involved with the idea that at some point we will reach an understanding of the human brain so deep and comprehensive that we'll be able to scan and create a perfect copy of the mind. Assumption 3 is computability, and that requires computer software to be able to host your intangible mind and translate it into something computable, even if it requires an astronomical amount of code. The problem is, the brain is without equal in terms of human knowledge of biological complexity. To briefly sum it up, 100 billion neurons communicate with each other at a speed up to 100 signals a second via 100 billion neurons using 1 million billion connections supported by billions of immune cells. The various sections monitor bodily functions, movement, involuntary reflexes, and all this without mentioning the neocortex that supports memory, allows for planning, thought, and imagination. It is, however, very unclear which part of the brain makes you. However, synapses receive the information through chemical signals, but there's a lot more to the brain than just nerve impulses. But it only gets more complicated when you consider having to make a model of our interconnected system of cells and impulses in a digital space. Conventional brain scanning tech is nowhere close to being able to scan the mind. The only solution we have at Don't Stop Watching will be to slice up the brain into tiny parts and scan them with an electron microscope. In 2019, scientists took a piece of mouse brain the size of a grain of sand and sliced it into 25,000 pieces. If that's not eroding your own brain enough, it contained 100,000 neurons, 1 billion synapses, and 4 kilometers of nerve fibers, which were observed by 5 electron microscopes for 5 months and collected over 100 million images. The images were painstakingly arranged into the accurate cubic millimeter of the brain, which took up 2,000 terabytes of storage. And so, to scan a human brain so accurately would require 1,000,000 times that. Of course, just knowing what the brain is still doesn't capture the consciousness. Much simpler than mapping every human brain down to the atomic level will be to create probabilistic models that could match the brain using more simplistic means. While we cannot understand our brain on necessary level to be able to replicate the mind currently, the science itself is worth the endeavor, as we will undoubtedly continue to develop our knowledge and increase our level of technological capability. In this sense, our ability to develop the technology to upload our minds to the cloud will hang indefinitely of the speed of the rampart march towards technological supremacy. It's worth pursuing, though, because of the immense implications and applications of such an ability on the rest of human existence in this universe. Successfully downloading a copy of our consciousness to another body is effectively immortality. Of course, the slightest corruption of data could widely warp your mind. You could end up in a constant state of terror, or worse. But since we are being optimistic, the applications of having a digital copy of yourself to hand are vast. You could finally create a clone to yourself to do your housework, or get them to dump your partner for you. And speaking of love, what would even be the point? Love is a struggle to find that which you determine as your counterpoint and with whom you aim to continue your fleeting existence through legacy. If you had a digital mind, you could surely press a button and make yourself experience all the rewards with none of the struggle. You know what I mean. But would that not erode and diminish the wonder and joy that is the human experience? Perhaps some of the things that make this life so intolerable at times are the very things that makes us strive to succeed. Without the fear of death hanging over us, what would the human race become? Would we continue to adapt and expand, or simply rest on our laurels, content to live forever? Would we even attempt to breed anymore? What's the point? Who needs to have children when you yourself will already live forever? And if you were living in a synthetic body in the far future, would you even have to be biological imperative? Could it be that the pursuit of an endeavor like mind uploads and computerized bodies will not in fact spell the future of mankind, but instead the end? What do you think? Sound off in the comments and discuss. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay aware of all new content. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.